A 20-year-old Jonathan Joestar stared at the man in front of him. The ordeal with Dio had seemed like it was forever ago, but in actuality it was only a few days.
I reject my humanity, Jojo.
The haunting voice echoed in his ears. Dio was so sure of himself, so pure in his intention. There was a tone of destruction underneath his voice before Dio even put on the mask. But no matter what Dio had ever done to him, Jonathan always believed that there could be better underneath, and he had been proven very wrong, at the cost of his father's life. But he was sure it was over. But this man, Baron William Zeppeli, told him differently.
This battle of yours isn't over. Dio, the masked master, has departed.
He told Jonathan calmly, as though this wasn't earth-shattering news, and unfortunately the news only got worse from here.
He, however, is the least of your concern, young man.
Zeppeli stated, leaping into the air and landing on the ground in the perfect seated position.
The least of my concern?
Jonathan asked earnestly.
I don't see how that could possibly be the case. What Dio turned into hasn't been seen and...
Exactly. Zeppeli raised a finger to the air, drawing Jonathan's eyes towards him. Jonathan felt his heart hold in his chest, waiting patiently for the other shoe to drop.
I can assure you that the vampires went nowhere. The Belmonts did a very good job in this region, to be sure. So good that every vampire worth his salt knows not to do anything within Europe. Or at least they did, until the Belmonts went away. Then the bloodsuckers just stayed out of the open, until recently. You've been so caught up in your own corner of the world that you neglected to look at others.
Handed Jonathan what appeared to be a newspaper. Jonathan glanced closely at the headline. In bright, bold letters, an ominous message spread. Dark mass spreads across the sky. London holds its breath while Europe goes dark. William carefully watched Jonathan as he read those words, carefully studying the boy for his reaction. And that reaction didn't take long to bubble to the surface. It was primarily confusion, so he thought he'd clear things up.
Newspapers don't appear to see a pattern, but I do, and a very clear one at that. The areas affected appear to be spread around Wallachia. There's a straight line from here to that city. About a year ago, that city did just about the worst thing it could do. It provoked the Lord of the Vampires, who had since been in retirement. It started what appears to be Dracula declaring war on the human race. Most vampires seem to be taking that to heart. They're converging, and it seems that this Dio is moving towards them.
Jonathan paused. Dio was such a proud man. When he looked at him in the eyes and he told him that he had rejected everything that made him human, he did so because Dio believed himself to be above humans. Dio saw himself as a king. Jonathan didn't think he would just go kneel before anybody else. Didn't see it. But it barely mattered if he didn't see it. He couldn't just let it go. If there even was a possibility of other people being in danger. If there was even the slightest chance.
What am I to do about it?
He asked, gripping a branch next to him. His mind was deep in thought. He knew what he had to do. He had to find Dio. He just didn't know what came next. William Zeppeli, on the other hand, smiled. He watched the boy, not even trained in hormone, as the pure life energy from his fingertips resuscitated a dying branch.